as well.
Eric, when you set up the meeting, you can set it up to automatically record.
Can
I
you
suppose you don't want this bit on though, do you?
They'll put up with that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I do. Yeah, I depend on you people to let me know. You know, I thought you'd.
Gives us something to do.
I thought you'd remind me. Yeah. Anyway, we are recording, so that's good, and everything seems to be working. So let's press on. We're on Letheon DS. And after today, just one more lesson left before Christmas. I was just going to have a break of 1 week over Christmas because I don't think we're working hard enough. We're only doing hour-long lessons, and we started a bit late because I wasn't sure what was going to happen with COVID and everything else, whether we'd actually be able to meet or not. Good Lord, what was I thinking? I thought, we'll leave it until October. We'll be able to get back together again. I know. Anyway, so we'll just have 1 week break over Christmas and be back on January the 5th. So
right,
that'll be great. Obviously, I'll send you out the invitations. So, ¿sabes cuál es la palabra para Christmas en español?
Navidad.
You know what the word for Christmas is in Spanish? It's Navidad. Navidad. And happy Christmas, of course. Feliz Navidad. Aquí están más palabras de Navidad. You might find these useful if you're in Spain over Christmas time. Father Christmas, of course. Papa Noel. The next one, Christmas stocking. A sock in Spanish is either calcetines or medias. They say medias in Latin America. Medias means halves, so 2 halves of the sock, I guess. Calcetines in Spain is more common, and one sock is el calcetín, so a Christmas sock. I don't know why they must. You'd never squeeze all my presents into a sock, that's for sure. Turkey, el pavo. Brussels sprouts, we love those. They are las coles de Bruselas. Cabbage in Spanish is una cole. So it's Brussels sprouts are cabbages of Brussels. Roast potatoes is I've never had a roast potato in Spain or in Ecuador or the Canaries. They do those horrible things in the Canaries, don't they? It looks as if they've been in the oven for.
Oh, they're lovely.
Lovely. Yeah, gorgeous.
Lovely.
What do you call them? But I can't.
Canarian
potatoes.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Well, papas rostizados, izadas, I beg your pardon, is the is what the dictionary said. I don't know why they say rostizadas. Roasted is asada or asado, depending on the gender of the thing that you're roasting, and baked is horneada or horneado. Which oven is el horno, and my wife's just come into the room to tempt the dog out with a biscuit. The dog had gone to sleep on the mat, and it's only a matter of time before she woke up and had a barking fit when the postman arrived. So she's been successfully silently extracted. So yeah, oven is el horno. So horneado is baked, is obviously from oven. Christmas pudding, budín de Navidad. I like roast potatoes. I've never had a an English Christmas pudding in Spain. I don't know what they'd think if they came across one. Maybe they'd quite like it. It's a bit like Brussels sprouts. Some people love it, some people hate it. I'm rather fond myself. I did put in the lesson notes a quick guide to Spanish food at Christmas. And of course, they do Christmas slightly differently to us. They give out their presents on Christmas Eve, exchange presents on Christmas Eve, and have a slap-up meal on Christmas Eve. And Christmas Day is a bit quieter, tends to be spent with family normally. I don't know what they're doing this year. And, they don't have slap-up meals at Christmas like we do. And then at the end of, on 12th night, when the wise men were supposed to arrive in Bethlehem, they have another slap-up meal. They give presents again in Spain. In Ecuador, they have a big carnival and they throw water over each other, which is so avoid Ecuador on January the 6th at all costs. The wise men are Los Reyes Magos. That means magic kings, or the wizard kings, if we translate it directly. Of course, New Year, Año Nuevo, and Happy New Year is Feliz Año Nuevo. So there's a quick guide to Christmas words in Spanish. Handy to know, even if it's just Feliz Navidad. Now, I started off by saying, ¿sabes cuál es la palabra? So, ¿sabes cuál es la palabra para Christmas? ¿Sabes is the you singular informal. Because there's more than one of you, really, I should be addressing you in the you plural informal, which would be ¿sabéis cuál es la palabra para Christmas en español? I've not done that because I in class I tend to use the you informal because the you informal plural is so little, you don't get many chances to use it. I think it's more useful for you to hear the you singular informal, but that's just an explanation of why I often address a group as an individual rather than a group. I do it in class as well. It seems to make more sense on Zoom. It doesn't make any sense in class, but it does mean that you get to practice the more common conjugation. Also, I can never remember the you plural informal. It isn't used at all in Latin America. They just don't do it. They just use the you formal. And seems to make a lot more sense to me. I wish the Spanish should follow suit. Probably won't. So, no idea why I've put that slide in again. Saber, it's a strange verb in the way it conjugates. So we have yo sé, with the accent on there and the stress on the E, yo sé. Tú sabes, él, ella, usted sabe. Nosotros sabemos, vosotros sabéis, ellos, ellas, ustedes saben. You can, if you want to say to somebody, do you understand? You can simply say, ¿sabes? It always sounds a little bit rude to me. You do hear it. It just sounds a little bit rude. Tú sabes is probably nicer. Use the two isn't needed, of course. The pronoun isn't needed. Just seems a bit nicer too. I don't know whether I've got an English view of what's polite and impolite. but I would tend to say two sabes. Do you understand? I use sabes quite a bit with the grandchildren. Sabes que es mal is one that's used quite often. You know that's bad. Sabes lo que estás haciendo. You know what you're doing. They all get they get pulled out quite often with the grandchildren. Saber. It's a useful verb to know. Worth just getting those conjugations. I think I'll add saber to our verbs list and recirculate that as a Christmas treat for everybody. Okay, homework. How did people get on with their homework? It was pretty easy, really, because I'd given you all the answers in the lesson notes. So if you weren't sure about any of them, you just had to go through the lesson notes and hoof them out. So these are the answers, and I was hoping Adrian would be here today because he's pretty good at spotting my mistakes, and I've made a deliberate mistake. I may have made a not so deliberate mistake as well, but I made a deliberate mistake on each of the following pages. So I'm guessing everybody managed to get these okay. Esos monos, son monicos, those monkeys. Okay, es eso, a gender neutral example. What's this?
Would that be esto?
It should be Esther.
Esto.
¿Qué es esto?
Esto.
¿Qué es esto? Do you think
No,
so?
I put esto.
Because that's what is that.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. There's two mistakes on this page in that case.
That was a not so obvious one, was it?
¿Qué es eso? ¿Qué es eso? This, yeah. Esto, eso. What is this? It's so damn complicated, this. I've never got my head around it properly. This restaurant is my favorite. Este restaurante. Yeah, I've got that one right. I want that white ice cream. Quiero ese helado. Yeah. And tráeme esta camisa. Bring me that.
Esa.
Esa.
Esa camisa. Muy bien. Well done. You give you double marks for that because you got two mistakes on the page. So, esta flores son mis favoritas. Those flowers are my.
Should that be Esas?
That's
Esas.
Esas.
Esas, yeah.
Esas, sí. Muy bien. Este león es peligroso.
Yeah.
This lion. Ese león es peligroso.
Yeah.
Lion. Aquella chica es muy guapa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aquellos edificios son los más viejos de la ciudad.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody got those? Estos burritos son fantásticos. These burritos are fantastic. Aquellas nubes llevan la lluvia. Those clouds bring the rain. They're somewhere away. ¿Quieres esta manzana? Would you like this apple? ¿Quieres estas? Would you like this? I'm holding an apple.
So that should be Esther as well.
Yeah.
Esta.
Esta,
Yeah.
singular.
Esta. Estas is a conjugation of a star, of course. ¿Qué es esto? What is this? Got that in twice, haven't I?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was to make sure we got it right second time.
Too easy on you. The first one, probably I should have typed, what is that? Anyway, never mind. Well done. Got that mistake. So the last lot, eso no me gusta. I don't like that. Estas margaritas son ricas. These margaritas are delicious. This is a bad example. Aquello fue un milagro. That was a miracle. I think aquel is fine for that. Aquel león no es peligroso. That lion over there is not dangerous. Esta casa es grandísima.
Yeah. You
This,
don't need the accent.
yeah. Don't need an accent on it. Esta, with the accent on the A, of course, is he, she, you, formal, is or are. Yeah, it's a conjugation. Well done.
Buenos dias, Eric. Adrian here. Sorry, I'm late.
Hello. I'm glad you've arrived, Adrian. You
missed all the errors, Adrian.
I put just some deliberate mistakes in, especially for you today. And in your absence, I don't know whether you got here in time. The class managed to find an undeliberate mistake. So I still get caught out even when you're not here.
Did our street cred a great deal of good.
Yes, absolutely. Good. I'm glad you're understanding it better than I am. So if I have an apple in my hand and I want to say, would you like this apple? How would we say that, Abigail? Would you like this apple?
¿Quieres esta manzana?
Yeah. And how would you say, stick with Abigail because you're on a roll now, or do you want that apple on the table?
¿O quieres esa manzana? Is it sobre la mesa?
I'd say en la mesa. Sobre.
En la mesa.
Sobre is over the top rather.
Yeah.
Yeah, en la mesa. Muy bien. So, quieres esa manzana? What about I prefer these grapes? So, to prefer is preferer, and I prefer is prefiero, and the grapes is uvas.
Uvas.
I prefer these grapes.
Still me?
Yeah, making you work.
No, yo prefiero estas uvas.
Yeah, excellent. Well done. I knew you were on a roll.
Oh,
There we
what pressure.
So, in the first one, I said quisieras rather than quieres. It's absolutely fine. Or would you like that apple on the table? Prefiero estas uvas. Don't need the yo pronoun. You could just say prefiero, but it's not wrong to put it in. It's perfectly okay. So, how would you ask the name of my wife? Apple, how would you ask the name of my wife?
¿Qué es el nombre de su esposa?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Is there another way of saying it would be ¿Cómo se llama tu esposa?
Yeah.
Either's perfectly correct. Just just use whichever one you tend to remember. I tend to remember como se llama more easily than que es su nombre. It is both are fine. There's no difference. In one of them, you're saying, what does she call herself, your wife? The other one you're asking, directly, as we would in English, what's the name of your wife? Apple, how would you ask the name of my children?
¿Qué se llaman tus hijos?
Yeah. You wouldn't say que se llaman because we'd use como, because the construction of the sentence is how do they call themselves rather than how are they called rather than what they're called. So it's always como se llaman. And the name of my grandchildren?
¿Cómo se llaman tus nietos?
Nietos, muy bien, excellent, yeah. You're all doing really well. And to answer, I can say, mi esposa se llama Margaret. My wife calls herself Margaret. Mis hijos se llaman Tom, Sam y Max. And mis nietos se llaman Julia, Arthur, Aureliano, Saoirse y Florencia. And we're all waiting on tenterhooks at the moment because my youngest son's wife went into hospital yesterday to be induced, and we've not heard anything. I think if there's no movement today, they might do a cesarean. So we're all. I'll have another granddaughter to add to the list, hopefully by the end of the day today. I've not been sending the Christmas. I've not sent any Christmas cards out because the baby's over a week overdue now, and I was waiting for the Christmas card so I could tell everybody that we've got a new granddaughter, and she's not too keen to come. I think she knows a bit miserable in January. The weather's not so good. Hopefully she'll be here today. So those are the names of my grandchildren. Just note the construction of those sentences if you want to tell somebody what somebody's called. Other questions we might ask, because we're a real nosy bunch. I'm trying to turn you into a nosy bunch. ¿Estás casado? Are you married? If it's a woman, ¿estás casada? There are lots of possible answers. Let's just have a look at them. You could say, sí, estoy casado. Or if you're a woman, estoy casada. You may say, sí, he estado casado por 46 años y somos muy felices. What's the translation of that, Adrian?
Yes, I've been married for 46 years and we're very happy.
Yeah, that's it. And you could say, no estoy casada. Mi marido está muerto, soy viuda. My husband's dead, I'm a widow. Mi esposa está muerta, soy viudo. My wife is dead. I'm a widower. Can you remember that we can? Sounds quite harsh, doesn't it? My husband's dead, especially for the old husband. We often soften the language by saying we passed away. It's not exactly a euphemism, but it's a certainly softening of the language. Instead of he died, he passed away. It doesn't sound quite so bad. And the Spanish do the same as well. They would say, mi esposo ha fallecido. My husband has passed away. Soy viuda, mi esposo falleció hace 3 años. I'm a widow. My husband died 3 years ago. So you can see the construction there of the 2 past tenses. Ha fallecido is a perfect tense, and you'd used it for my husband has passed away. We know it's happened. It's happened at some stage in the past, but we've not been very specific. Or if actually saying he passed away 3 years ago, we'd use the preterite falleció. Maybe you're divorced. Estoy divorciado, or maybe you've never been married. No, soy soltero or soltera. So I think we've gone through all the various options there. And you'll notice that in those sentences, I've used both ser and estar. It's something of a grey area here. I think these are the commonly accepted ones. We do swap between estar and ser, and sometimes it doesn't make sense. Soy soltero is being single is seen as an inherent characteristic, but being divorced is not necessarily the case, and being married again is a condition rather than an inherent characteristic. I've sort of I discussed these with my Spanish-speaking daughter-in-law, Lucia, and she was like, well, you know, it doesn't really matter, you know, you can say that. I think that would be all right. But we tend to say this. So that doesn't seem that Spanish have strong feelings about it. So if you can't just think what's the right one, don't worry about it too much. So Amanda, if somebody says "Tienes hermanos," what are they asking?
Do you have children?
Hermanos.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Do you have children?
No, that's not right.
Oh, brothers. Sorry, brothers.
Well, hermanos could be siblings, brothers or sisters. So you may say hermanos or hermanas. Do you have any brothers or sisters? Do you have any siblings? So I've got one sister. I'd say sí, tengo una hermana.
Se llama Maggie.
Muy bien. You could say, if you're an only child, no, soy hijo único. I'm an only child. And if you're a woman, you'd be hija única. Hija única. ¿Tienes hijos? Do you have children? We've done that one quite often. And now let's look at introducing people to each other. Often have to make an introduction if we're in company. And if you're in an informal situation, you might simply say, "This is my neighbor, friend, wife," and then her name. So if you're introducing a woman, obviously you'd say Esta. If you're introducing a man, Este. Este is mi amigo Felipe. Este es mi I've had a bad morning. Esposa, I couldn't remember the name for wife. Esta es mi esposa, Margaret. So just what you do in English in England in an informal situation. This is my wife Margaret. If it's a little bit more formal, you may say, "Can I introduce?" Now, you have to be careful because there's a Spanish verb, introducer, which is spelled just like introducer, and it sounds right, but it doesn't mean introduce in the sense of introducing somebody to somebody else. It means to insert, and you don't want to say puedo introducirme to the boss's wife, for sure. So if you think introducer, don't use it. Use presentar, and the informal te presento a mí means can I introduce you to my whatever it is, wife, colleague. Te presento a mi esposa, su nombre es Margaret, was what you'd say. If it's a formal situation, and we're not really dealing in formal situations, just change the pronoun. Le presento a mí. Present to you my esposa Margaret.
Eric, I think these are the indirect object pronouns, are they? So is it literally saying, to you, I present my
Yes.
wife?
Absolutely, yes.
And the "a" is because the personal object always gets an "a" in front of it.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You can also say, puedo presentar, can I introduce? It's quite useful, and because presentar is in the infinitive, you can hook the pronoun on the end. So you could say, puedo presentarme, can I introduce myself? You say, puedo presentarme a, I've got an extra T in there, a ti, not at ti. Can I introduce myself to you? Me llamo Eric. Puedo presentarte a mi esposa. Can I introduce you to my wife? Se llama Mary. So have a little practice of those. It's a good skill to be able to have. Even if you ship up at the hotel, at reception, you may want to say, you know, my name's Eric Rayner, this is my wife Margaret, in which case you can simply say, esta es mi esposa Margaret. And in response, you can say, the most common one is, mucho gusto, pleased to see you. You could also say, it's a bit more gushing. We'd say, oh, pleased to meet you, most often in English. But we may want to say charming or something like that. I can't remember ever saying charming to anybody, but you can, and it's encantado if you're a man, encantada if you're a woman. So I'm charmed is essentially what you're saying. I'm charmed by meeting you. So let's just have a look at introducing somebody. Listen carefully. I will have some questions. So I'm introducing my daughter-in-law to you. Esta es Lucia. Ella es de Ecuador y nació en Quito, la ciudad capital. Lucia está casada y su marido es mi hijo Tom. Ella es mi nuera. Ellos tienen 3 hijos, Julia, Aureliano y Florencia. Lucía estudia antropología en Cambridge y además ha estudiado en Lima, Bruselas y LSE en Londres. Su padre y su madre son médicos en Ecuador. Ella tiene 3 hermanas, Emilia, Arlen y Camilla. So, how was that?
Okay.
Everybody happy with that? We've all been practicing these various things.
I just missed the last sentence. What did the last sentence say?
Ella tiene 3 hermanas,
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Emilia, Arlen y Camila. So let's go down my list. Lorraine is next on the list for putting on the spot. It's more tense, isn't it, online, because in the class you know who you're sitting next to and you can see it coming, but in class I think you have a different view of the screen to me, so you don't know when it's coming. You're next on the list, Lorraine. Can you do 4 questions for me? Yeah.
All right, try.
¿Dónde nació Lucía?
Lucía nací en Ecuador.
Muy bien. Nació.
Oh, nació, yes, nació en
nació.
Ecuador.
En Ecuador, en Quito, la ciudad capital. Muy bien. ¿Cómo se llama su marido?
Su marido le llamo, I can't remember what his name is, sorry.
Tom. Yeah.
Tom.
Su marido se llama Tom. Her husband, he calls himself Tom. Yeah. ¿Cuántos hijos tiene ella?
Tiene 3 hijas.
Muy bien. ¿Cuántos hermanos tiene ella?
Tiene 3 hermanas.
Muy bien. Well done, Ryan. Excellent. Good memory. apart from the
Since
Spanish.
it went blank at your son's name, I do
It's
apologise.
a memory test apart from a Spanish test, isn't it? Okay. So great. So this is all about Lucia, and I'll include this in the lesson notes, so you can a good practice is to to put somebody that in that position. This could be your son, husband, somebody that you may need to introduce at some time, and tell somebody about them. So this morning I've got some location words for you. Quite important, these words, quite important to have in our vocabulary. You'll have seen a few of them before, and I want to go through them now, and then we're going to have a little practice with them in some sentences. So, location words. Donde, we've used that a lot. That means where. Now, whenever it's a question, you'd use an accent. on it, Adonde. And you'll also see often Adonde. Now you use Adonde when there's a question of movement involved. You'd use it to say to where, or where are you going to? Adonde vas? Most commonly you see adonde written as two words, adonde, even though you say adonde. You do see it also written as one word occasionally. There's no difference between them. It means exactly the same thing. In Spanish, you do see a number of phrases, sometimes written as one word, sometimes written as two words. Adonde or adonde means exactly the same thing. Where to? Donde, where? Dentro de, inside. Debajo de, under. Detrás de is behind. Sobre, above. But something that is above, not literally on, we tend to use en there. Enfrente de, in front of. Al lado de, at the side of. En is on, and en also for in. And just get it in context. So I also want to talk a little bit about something called apocompation, because using these location words, we are going to come across examples of apocompation. Now, apocompation is where we combine two words together to make it easier to say. So if we want to say it is inside the wardrobe, wardrobe is armario, we'd say está dentro del armario. But what we're actually saying is está dentro de el armario. But de el is quite hard to say. I think I just said it wrong then, actually. I put an extra e in. De el armario. So de el armario. It's hard to say. So the Spanish apocompate it to del armario. It only works with masculine nouns. If we wanted to say it's behind the door, we'd have to say está detrás de la puerta. So de la, but del, not de el. We can use it as well in the case of a el, to the. So vamos al aeropuerto, not a el aeropuerto. But we have to say vamos a la tienda. We go to the shop. It's correct grammar. It's not people being lazy or anything else. It's perfectly good grammar. And it varies a little between where you get fast speech and some words are difficult to separate when you're talking quickly. So you tend to merge them together. So donde está tends to be donde está. Mi hija tends to be mija. So that's not apocompation. That's just saying it the easy way. So there is a difference, but the effect is largely the same. So let's have a look at those words in sentences, and I want to practice these words. So we'll do some homework this week, and we'll construct some sentences with some location words. So where are you going to on holiday? Where, donde, but because it's motion involved, where are you going to where are you going, we say a donde vas de vacaciones. Holiday is always plural in Spanish. It's always vacaciones. It's never vacación. A donde vas de vacaciones? Where's my shirt? ¿Dónde está mi camisa? So again, we're not saying where is my shirt to, or to where is my shirt. We're just saying where is it? There's no movement involved. So, ¿dónde está mi camisa? It's inside the wardrobe. Está dentro del armario. So we're approximating de el there. De el armario. Del armario. My shoes are under the bed. Mis zapatos están debajo de la cama. Debajo is under. There's a couple of words. Abajo means below, and bajo means a lower. Mis zapatos están debajo de la cama, underneath the bed. The dog is behind the door. El perro está detrás de la puerta. Can't approximate de la to del. It has to be de la puerta. It's a feminine noun. There are beautiful clouds above the mountains today. Hay hermosas nubes sobre las montañas hoy. Normally, you'd say, if you wanted to, in English, if you construct that sentence as I have, there are beautiful clouds above the mountains today. In Spanish, you'd tend to say, today there are beautiful clouds above the mountains, but it's quite hard to say hoy hay. Hoy hay hermosas nubes sobre las montañas. You need a good pause to be able to say it properly. So you can stick it on the end. It's not normally done, but if you come across a word that is a little phrase that's difficult to say, gets your tongue in a twist, you can shuffle the words around. So that's okay, Spanish, but the Spanish would normally put hoy at the beginning of the sentence. The car is at the front of the house. El coche está enfrente de la casa. The shop is at the side of the museum. La tienda está al lado del museo. There is a note on the table. Hay una nota en la mesa. I'm going to put the milk in the fridge. Voy a poner la leche en la refrigeradora. Creating the future tense there using the verb ir. Voy a poder, I'm going to put. Again, it's perfectly good Spanish. The Spanish do it all the time, so we don't need to worry about that. It does mean that you don't have to worry about learning the future tense of loads and loads of verbs. You can just do what we do in English, which is use the verb to go to create the future tense. And the Spanish do it as well, so don't worry about it. It's perfectly good grammar. So, hace 9 semanas nos hicimos muchas preguntas. So for the past 9 weeks, we've been asking many questions. We've asked our names, where we're from, where we live, all about our families, our jobs, and so on. In Spanish, the questioning verbs have have a more precise meaning. So you need to know two verbs to ask things, really. Preguntar and pedir both mean to ask in the English sense of ask, but use preguntar to make an inquiry. It's a question where you'd expect an answer. So, puedo preguntarte la hora? Can I ask you the time? Question where you expect an answer. Pedir, you'd use that for a request. So when you're asking somebody to do something, voy a pedirle a la mesera otra botella de vino. I'm going to ask the waitress for another bottle of wine. So be aware of those two different forms of the verbs to ask. There's a useful sentence that is you may need if you're in a Spanish restaurant. Esto no es lo que pedí. This is not what I asked for. Is that a cat crying or a
Sorry, Eric.
That's quite all right, Amanda. I can let it out quick if I were you. Esto no es lo que pedí. This is not what I asked for. And that little phrase, lo que, it means the thing. You see it so often in Spanish. It crops up time and time again in different sentences. So use preguntar when you're asking a question that requires an answer. Use pedir when you're asking somebody to do something, making a request, when you want something. So we're still building on our Spanish conversation. Now we want to be able to describe the place where we live, and you may live in a city, a town, or a village. A city in Spanish is ciudad. A town, a large town may be called ciudad as well, or it may be called pueblo if it's a little bit smaller, and a large village or even a small village may be called a pueblo. They don't seem as hung up as we English do about descriptions of places where we live. We won't allow anything to be called a city unless it's got a royal charter or a cathedral, will we? And we have towns and market towns and lots and lots of different categorizations for places. The Spanish tend to go with pueblo, ciudad. A village, a small settlement, can I think also be called la aldea or una aldea. I've never actually heard that in a sentence or read that in a sentence, I don't think. So I think it must be fairly unusual. I think I've got a stray eyelash. Gone. So ciudad, pueblo, aldea, possibly. And your neighborhood. You live in Peterborough, but which district? You could use the word distrito, but barrio is more common, barrio. Donde vives, you may ask somebody. Vivo en Peterborough. Ah, tú vives en Peterborough, ¿en qué barrio? Mi barrio se llama Breton. I live in Breton district. you may say, if you live in Breton, of course. Barrios are quite a thing in Spain, and also in Latin America. There's a real affinity, sometimes more with the district where you live than the actual city that you live in. So you will see barrio quite regularly. ¿Cómo es tu barrio? Here are some ways you can describe it. Elegante. That means quite smart, quite posh. Pobre, poor, sucio, or mugriento for dirty. I think mugriento means more shabby than dirty. Limpio, antiguo, old, moderno, modern. Acogedor is nice and friendly. Dull, aburrido, it's a bit boring. Bonito is nice place, pretty place. You could use it for nice as well as for pretty. It could just be a nice place to live. Muy bonito. Feo, ugly. If it's quiet, tranquilo, tranquila. If it's busy, ocupado or ocupada. All nouns that you can use to describe where you live. So, how would we describe Peterborough? Is this a good description of our city? Es una ciudad grande y moderna, con una catedral hermosa y antigua. Tiene muchas excelentes tiendas, bares y restaurantes. Es una ciudad multicultural, con gente del Caribe, India, Pakistán y Europa del Este. Se puede escuchar muchos idiomas diferentes. We could say about Peterborough, hay mucho trabajo, es desempleo, there's a lot of work, the unemployment es bajo, it's low, y hay buenas conexiones de carretera y ferrocarril a otras partes de Gran Bretaña. Me gusta vivir en Peterborough. So we're saying it's a large modern city with a beautiful old cathedral. There are many good shops, bars and restaurants. Although I came into Peterborough last week to do a bit of Christmas shopping and it was a truly miserable experience. What have they done to John Lewis's? It's awful now. They've chopped the place in half. It's so dark and moved
It was
everything.
to save rent. It was.
It
We
was
checked it out.
Yeah,
They were saving the rent. They've cut it in half, but they put the same space in because they used the floor upstairs.
Yeah, gosh, it was awful. I've not been. It tells you how long since I've been in there. But there were loads of shops shut down Bridge Street. It was really, really miserable experience. It's a multicultural city with people from the Caribbean, from India, Pakistan, and Eastern Europe. One can hear many different languages. There's a lot of work. That's probably wrong now as well. Unemployment is low, and there are good connections by road and rail to other parts of Great Britain. I like living in Peterborough. I think we've hit the end of time. We'll talk a little bit more about Peterborough in the lesson next week. Did folk have a listen to La Bamba? Yeah. yeah, you enjoyed the maybe we can unmute ourselves. Let me stop sharing and we'll get the big screen back. Stop sharing. There we go. So I put a couple of I think I put 3 links to different music videos on there. So there was La Bamba, a couple for La Bamba. It was a song made famous by Ricky Valence, is it? And I think it was the first song to make the hit parade, top of the hit parade in America, which was sung in the Spanish language. That's its claim to fame. But it is a Mexican folk song, and it's played a lot there. So it's a good one to sing along to. And they have this weird thing where they will perform it at a wedding in Mexico, and they'll actually tie a knot in a sash just using their feet, which seems a strange way to declare your love for somebody. But there we are. Hope you enjoyed those. I will carry on putting links into videos with the lesson pack each week. I think it's important to know a few songs, understand a little culture, as well as trying to get the language right too. So thank you very much, everybody. One more lesson next week, and then we'll break for Christmas. I'm going to put some sentences together that require location verbs for you to practice. And they are useful ones to know, particularly when you start asking people where things are. How can I find the library? Where's this particular shop? Is there a cash point nearby? That kind of thing. So so they're worth spending a little bit of time learning. Any questions from today? No? Good. Nice to see you all. See you all next week. And I hope your Christmas shopping's coming along. And stay clear of online speaker salespeople. I was regaling the class with a horror story at the very start where I had to send different things back trying to get a speaker. Right, I'm going to stop the recording now.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Adios.